My name is Dred Scott. I was born enslaved in Southampton County, Virginia, around 1799. My first owner, Peter Blow, carried me west to Alabama and later to St. Louis, Missouri. When he died in 1832, I was sold to Dr. John Emerson, a surgeon in the United States Army. With Dr. Emerson, I traveled farther than I ever imagined. On December 1st, 1833, I arrived at Fort Armstrong in Illinois, a free state. For the first time in my life, I stood on free soil. I lived and worked there for 3 years. Later, I was taken even farther north to Fort Snelling, in what is now Minnesota, free territory again. At Fort Snelling, I met Harriet Robinson, an enslaved woman from Virginia. We married there, on free soil. We built a family. But in 1838, Harriet, pregnant with our child, and I were sent south to Louisiana, back into slave territory. Eventually, we returned to St. Louis. In 1843, Dr. Emerson died. Though Harriet and I were not mentioned in his will, his widow, Irene Emerson, claimed us as her property. She hired us out and kept our wages. We worked. She profited. But I had lived for years in free territory. The law had once held that once free, always free. On April 6, 1846, Harriet and I each filed petitions in the St. Louis Circuit Court, suing for our freedom. With help from the Blow family and their friends, our case finally went to trial in 1850. The jury ruled in our favor. We were declared free. For a brief moment, we believed it was over. Mrs. Emerson refused to accept the verdict and appealed. While the case moved through the courts, she left St. Louis, moved to Massachusetts, and married Dr. Calvin Clifford Chaffee, an anti-slavery congressman. Dr. Chaffee was unaware that his new wife still enslaved us and was fighting to keep us in bondage. When he learned that he was legally connected to one of the most famous slave cases in America, he faced public embarrassment and criticism. Under the law at that time, a husband controlled his wife's property. In 1852, the Missouri Supreme Court reversed the earlier ruling. We were enslaved again. Still, we did not give up. With new lawyers and continued support, my case moved to the highest court in the nation, the United States Supreme Court. On March 6, 1857, the court ruled against me. They declared that I, a black man, was not a citizen and had no right to sue in federal court. They said Congress had no authority to prohibit slavery in the territories. Their decision strengthened slavery across the nation and deepened the divide between North and South. But even then, events shifted. Just before the decision, Dr. Chaffee arranged for ownership of my family to be transferred to Taylor Blow, who freed us. On May 26, 1857, Harriet and I were formally emancipated in St. Louis. I found work as a porter at Barnum's Hotel. For the first time, I was paid for my labor. I was a free man, but freedom came late. On September 17, 1858, I died of tuberculosis. My life was brief in freedom, but my case shook a nation. Though I did not live to see it, the struggle that bore my name helped push America toward a reckoning that would change its course forever.